Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity, Season 1, Episode 6. Great and beautiful episode. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So really, this is like 2 episodes in one, so like usually I'll, divide this up and end up including time codes so you can jump around if you want to. But jumping off into the first part, so we're picking up where episode 5 left off. We have Subaru like admitting to Kaoruko how everything went down, like explains the conversation with Rentaro. I mean, in fact, we had that opening where we saw them as kids, and Kaoruko fell off a monkey bars because she was hanging upside down because she apparently liked playing like a bat. And, Subaru was very like, please don't do that again. Like, don't get hurt. She was very overprotective of her friend and cared about her, was scared for her. And that's kind of continued on even into like their high school years now, where she recognizes like there's kind of and this was a really interesting introspective, because it's like, a lot of Subaru's issues, we talked about kind of like the trauma and like how like she like takes her issues with guys and kind of attributes it, and it takes it even to present day and stuff like that. But it also, what it stems from is self-loathing, because she's never liked herself, because I'm sure like other people have kind of played a role in it. And I think Rentaro has a little bit of that. Like I said, there's a lot of like parallels between those characters. And I think Rentaro has some level of lack of self-confidence and self-hatred. I think they're both kind of similar in that capacity, and as I've stated like multiple times. And she's always felt this twinge of that self-hatred and just feeling only good about Kaoruko. That's why she wants to protect her, because like you're kind of my everything. You became like my salvation. You are my hero. And I think it's this beautiful parallel when you see at the beginning of this first part of the episode, she's hugging a young Kaoruko, because it's still like she's forever viewing Kaoruko as the little girl who saved her, who was her hero. And it's almost like you're still holding on to her because you're still that little Subaru from back then. She even talks about it later. Like she feels like even though I've gotten taller, I haven't changed. She's like, I still view myself as that pathetic coward back then, because she confessed everything. She was apologetic to Kaoruko, but Kaoruko was like, it's okay. Like, you must have really been worried about me, right? Because I know you must have done it because you're trying to protect me. I'm sorry I worried you. And she's like, for Subaru, it's like, I'm the one that messed up. Why I should be apologizing, yet you're apologizing to me. Like, you're not the one that did anything wrong. I did. And for her, she lived with this guilt for a while in between episode 4 and now, where it's like the guilt has been like chewing her up, because she's like, she was so scared that like Rentaro might have told Kaoruko what happened, and she was afraid like, oh my god, like if Kaoruko found out, she hate me, because she was able to make that bargain before. And once again in episode 4, she did say like, I'm fine with her hating me as long as I'm able to protect her, so it's fine, I can live with that. But now she's scared like, oh, what if Rentaro told her? But then she starts noticing like the way she's talking to me, like she doesn't know. And she's like, there's a part of her that was almost like relieved, because it's like, hey, like if you don't hate me, that must mean he didn't tell you. So it's like, I could leave this alone. Like I don't have to say anything. I could just let it be. And then, if Rentaro hasn't told her now, he'll never tell her. So I don't have to even worry about it. But she's like, I told you now. And just like that glint in your eyes that told me it was okay. It like, I for a moment felt good because it meant you didn't hate me. But for her, it's like, I just did all this simply to ease my own guilt. And that just makes her feel worse about herself, And she's just like beating herself up about it. She's so apologetic. Once again, feeling like I'm a terrible human being. It's like, you're a very human person. You have a lot of insecurities. You have a lot of self-loathing, and it's kind of distorted your own vision of yourself. You've kind of been stuck once again as that little kid who's kind of been bound by like that self-loathing. You've never been able to see yourself other ways. You've never been able to see yourself as the person Ruko can see, that she sees you for like the kind person you are, but you're like, I've never been a kind person. But it's because she doesn't love herself. But for Kaoruko, it's like, right, like, let's play like kids. And she's like, here, she's swinging on the monkey bar. She's like, no, you'll get your clothes. She's like, I did it back when we were kids too. My mom might scold me for it, but it was still fun. And it's just like, for her, it's this thing of, you don't need to be kind to someone like me. Someone like me isn't deserved. It's like, stop saying someone, like, she's like, I don't like that. Like, I don't want you treating yourself like you don't deserve to be by my side. She's like there's a lot that even I kind of get weighed down by, but I feel so much better because I have you by my side, Subaru. Like, you have always been there by me. I always feel comfortable knowing I've got you by my side. And because of that, like, she can, like, it makes things a lot easier and bearable. So, going back to the point I've constantly made that I thought she got into Kikyo for Subaru, like, for Subaru's sake. Like, it wasn't necessarily like, I think I kind of painted it more like she didn't want to leave Subaru alone. I think it's she didn't want to be without Subaru. Just as like Subaru thinks like, oh, like, it's almost like she's so kind to me, I'm not deserving of her kindness because all she does is shower me with kindness. She's good to me and I don't deserve that. Once again, this kind of plays and I think these archetypes of characters are so interesting that you know, I mean, it's sad, but such interesting like elements for a character, because the parallel I always make, it's like Rin from Trails of Kotsuyo. Yes, had to sneak one in there, a reference. But like, that's one of the things I always found so fascinating about that character, is because he holds so much self-loathing in a very similar manner of like, he can be dedicating himself so much to other people, but like when people kind of turn it around on him, he's like, that feels weird. Like he doesn't know how to handle that, doesn't know how to process it. And I brought this up previously about this conversation about like love being this two-way street. And like I said, Rintaro's kind of suffers from this same thing too with his friends. Like he cares about his friends, but when the shoe's on the other foot and they obviously do care for him, he doesn't know how to really process it. Subaru is like this same way, where it's like she doesn't think she's deserving of Kaoruko's kindness, and it's just like, no, like, I want you to see yourself the way. And she's like, until you do, I'll stay by your side, and I'll remind you every day, like I have up until now too, of who you are, that you are this kind person, that you are my friend, and I love you and I care about you. And obviously for Subaru, it's like she wants to give herself enough time that maybe one day she can find a way to, like, she's taking steps forward. Now, this whole situation was like the rude awakening she needed. Like, she's been stuck in this way for a while, but now it's like for the first time, I think she's taking those steps forward. And we see, like I said, brought it up earlier, where she was hugging the young Kaoruko, and then a young version of herself pointed to like Kaoruko now and walks over and stands by her. So I'll walk by your side until I learn how to see myself the way you do, how I can find a way to love myself. And I just thought that was so beautiful. And her holding on to Kaoruko, and it's like, okay, so I'm gonna tell you what Rintaro, when I asked him to leave, not to be around you anymore, he said, sorry, I can't do that. And you can tell that lit up Kaoruko to hear that. And it's like, and you know, her friend, you know, very plainly, it's like, how do you feel about Rintaro? And it's like, do you like him? And it's like, I do. And it's like, okay. And for her, that was kind of what, you know, it's like, so she's like finding her way forward. It's like, I'll do what I can to help you in any shape or form with this whole situation. So, and I love like the last shot of it being like those two flowers together, the pink flower and the blue flowers. Like, oh, I love that, how symbolic and beautiful that was. And now moving on to the second part of the episode. On their way home, Kaoruko got a message from Rintaro. I forgot to talk about that too. Like, it was, in fact, because I was like, oh, I wonder which way that's going to go. Funny enough, Subaru sent her a message first to meet at the park, but Rintaro is sending her the message. Now he's like, oh, is it okay if like we talk over the phone? And he's kind of freaking out about it, because he's like, crap, she's not gonna like reply back to me because I didn't reply back to her text and stuff like that. He feels bad about it, and he's also, because he wants to talk to Subaru about what they talked about at that cafe, and he's like, but I don't have her contact information. But now I'm gonna talk to her, text her about getting that information, and now I want to call her just to get that information. He's like, oh, this is awkward. How do I handle this? And then Kalkuro like calls him up, and it's like, oh hey, he's like, yeah, I'm sorry about not texting you back. He's like, I should have brought it up when you were at a cafe earlier. She's like, no, it's cool, it's fine. Like, what did you want to talk about? He's like, oh, I want to talk to Subaru. And it's like, oh, you do? And she starts laughing. He's like, what? She's like, yeah, she's here with me. It's like, what? Here, let me put her on the phone. He's like, wait, what? She's with you? And she's like, hey. He's like, oh, hey, he's panicking, and it's just like, what did you want to talk about? And she's like, well, can we meet up? Like, he was like, about our conversation at a cafe. She's like, can we meet up at like after school? And so the next day they do, and he's kind of like nervous about it. He's like, oh god, what do I do? What do I say? And he walks over to her, and he's like, right, are you sure you want to be wearing your school uniform? She's like, it's fine. She's like, I do appreciate you being considerate in this moment about that, but it's like, so what did you want to talk about? And he's like, he ends up saying like he understands where Subaru is coming from, wanting to protect Kaoruko, and it comes from this place of him. Essentially, he's asking her permission on how he should best approach this situation, and it's like, and she's like, I'm not Kaoruko's mom, right? He's like, no, I know, but like you are her friend, and it's just like, he's like, I worried about it. Even though I said what I said, I still worry about whether or not, like, I don't want to, like, I want to be able to still see Kaoruko, but I also don't want to do anything that might, like, hurt her or put her in a, like, bad position. So, like, I was asking you, like, what do you think, like, I wanted to ask you as her friend, like, what would be the best approach, like, to make you feel okay about it. And for her, that just makes her go, like, wow. Like, I understand, like, this is the person you've fallen for, and I treated them so bad, such a kind person so badly. And she ultimately ends up telling him, like, yeah, I told her everything. He's like, wait, you told her everything? It's like, yes, I told her everything. Wait, what do you mean by everything? Everything, like I said. He's like, even how I responded? And essentially her takeaway was, you guys can hang out, but at the very least, make sure it's, like, far away from the school that no one finds out. It kind of be like almost a little secret tryst, And it's like, what do I, and he doesn't really, because at first he's almost like, wait, what's going on here? Because she's all very smiley, and he's almost just like, things are different, like even from the last time they talked, like her disposition and how she's talking, because like a lot of stuff is off her shoulders, a lot of that guilt, like she's working towards, bettering herself. So, but all of a sudden, he gets a soccer ball to the side, and it turns out it's the kid they met at the cafe in episode 4, Yusuke. And he's like, oh, hey, guys. He's like, oh, funny, I would run into you guys again. You guys must be such good friends. And they're both thinking to themselves, well, considering our interactions, not really. And I think they even said it out loud. And he's like, really? But you guys seem like you're together and stuff. Like, the only reason why you'd be talking and stuff like this if you're good friends, right? And so his friends pull him away, and they're like, hey, come back with the ball. And he's like, oh, yeah, see you guys later. And they're like, weren't you scared? And he was like, no. Because he sees them as both nice people. And then, it's like the funny takeaway from all of this is, I think it was at this point that she said that whole point of like, they could, as long as they meet away from school, it'll be fine. Like I said, it's a beautiful thing where she's starting to see Rentaro for like the good person and the honorable person he is, because essentially, like I said, he's asking her permission, like asking her advice on what would be the best way forward from this situation. But it's like, right, like, it's not my permission you need, but the fact is you want to talk to me about it because, because we both are coming from the place of we want to do what's best to look out for Kaoruko. They both want what's kind of essentially best for her, but it's also like this beautiful thing of like her bringing out the best in them and them both in their own ways finding their way forward. Like, we are already seeing like Rentaro's changes, and we're seeing it slowly with Subaru, and we're going to continue to see it change in both of them kind of being more confident in themselves and what they want and being more upfront with what they want essentially. So, but yeah, like Rentaro's takeaway is like, yo, like what happened to you? And she's like, I'll keep that a secret. And she's smiling, but she even says like, maybe like one day, like she's like going forward, at maybe at some point in time we might not be friends, but maybe one day, do you want to be my friend? And it's like, what happened to you? And she's like, yeah, I'll kind of keep that to myself. But it's like, yeah, I think you guys will be friends. Spoilers, as we can kind of see in the intro, they all become friends. All of Rintaro's friends, as well as Kaoruko and Subaru, all seem to be friendly. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see where the next episode takes us. Like I said, I think this was a very sweet and beautiful, powerful episode, and just kind of like, especially in Subaru's development across both halves of the episode. So I mean, it's all like I said, it's one continuous thing, but they kind of treat it as like two separate stories. Oh yeah, I want to tack this on at the end here. I haven't talked about it yet, but I really, really like the opening song. I've liked it more and more with every listen. And part of it kept ringing in my ear where I was like, sounds like the vocals and the cadence of certain parts of it. I was like, is this who I think it is? So I looked it up. It is Tatsuya Kitani. The reason why I recognize him for like some of the vocals and cadences because he did the opening for Go Go Loser Ranger, which I love that song. It's such a catchy song, and I think it does such a great job going with the visuals. But it's basically like the last chunk of the song. Some of his cadence and the way he flows on the music sounded just like certain parts of the opening for Go Go Loser Ranger. So that's kind of been scratching at the back of my head, and it took me like 6 episodes, but I finally looked into it and confirmed, but yeah, it's the same person. So yeah, I just thought that was kind of neat. So I just wanted to kind of tack that on at the end here, so I don't have to worry about like trying to remember to include that with like the next recording. Either way, till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.